He told me I was not good enough to marry him. So, I left. Then I fell in love with the vampire king that he feared the most. Rain hit hard against the windows of Marcus's big house. I stood in his study. My engagement ring sat tight in my shaking hand. The diamond once meant our future. Now it felt like a piece of ice cutting my palm. "You have to understand, Evelyn," Marcus said. He did not even look at me. He moved papers on his dark wood desk. His jaw was tight. "My family has rules. They have high standards. You are a wonderful woman, but you are not suitable." "Not suitable," I said again. My voice was almost a whisper. "We have been together for 3 years, Marcus. 3 years of me helping you, loving you, building a life with you. What changed?" He finally looked at me. What I saw was worse than anger. It was cold nothing. "My father made it clear. Our family needs strong ties with important people. Your background, your lack of rich friends. I need someone who can make our family look better, not someone who pulls it down." The words hit me like punches. I knew Marcus came from old money. His family line went back hundreds of years. But I had believed love would be enough. "So that is it?" I asked. I fought the tears. I would not let him see me break. 3 years and I am just not good enough. "I am sorry, Evelyn. I truly am." But his voice was empty. It sounded practiced. I set the ring on his desk. It made a sharp click that filled the room. "No, Marcus, you are not sorry. But you will be." I turned and walked out of his study, out of his big house, out of his life. The rain soaked my coat right away. I did not care. I needed to get far from him and his mean family. My car took me out of the city. I did not really think about where I went. My hands held the wheel tight. Tears finally fell. I drove for hours through the storm, down winding country roads I did not know. My gas was almost gone. I was very tired. That is when I saw it. A huge old mansion rose from the mist. It looked like something from a dark fairy tale. Tall towers reached into the stormy sky. Warm light shone from the windows. A nice sign near the gate said Thornwood Manor Boutique Hotel. I should not have stopped. Every part of me said keep driving. But something pulled me toward that place. Maybe it was fate. Maybe it was pure need. Maybe I was just too tired to care anymore. Inside was beautiful. Dark wood, soft velvet curtains, old furniture that felt warm and welcoming, not cold like a museum. The lobby was empty, except for a young woman at the front desk. She smiled kindly as I walked up, dripping rain on the fancy rug. "I need a room," I said, "just for tonight." "Of course." Her smile stayed soft as she gave me a form. "You have had a hard evening." It was not a question. Something in her knowing eyes made me want to tell her everything. But I just nodded and filled out the paper. "Mr. Thornwood likes to welcome every guest himself," she said as she gave me an old key. A real metal key, not a plastic card. "He will probably find you before the night is over." Before I could ask what she meant, she pointed to the big stairs. "3rd floor, room 313. Breakfast is from 7 to 10. Enjoy your stay, Miss Evelyn." I had not told her my name yet. The room was perfect. A big bed with dark blue curtains, a fireplace already burning, tall windows that looked over dark woods covered in mist. I took off my wet clothes. I stood by the fire. Warmth slowly came back into my body. A soft knock on the door made me jump. I had only been in the room 5 minutes. "Housekeeping?" I called. I wrapped myself in the soft robe from the closet. "Not exactly," said a man's voice, deep and smooth like old whiskey. "I am Adrian Thornwood, the owner. I wanted to make sure you have everything you need." I opened the door and forgot how to breathe. He was tall, well over 6 feet, dark hair that fell past his collar, eyes that changed between gray and silver in the firelight. Sharp cheekbones, strong jaw. He looked like real royalty. Marcus looked like a fake next to him. But it was more than how he looked. He gave off power. Old and total power. I tried to find words. Everything is fine, thank you. His lips curved into a small smile. I saw how pale his skin was, like marble under moonlight. You have been crying. That is none of your business, I said. But there was no anger in my voice. Something about him made me feel safe. That was strange, because I had just met him. No, it is not, he agreed, but I find myself curious. It is not often someone arrives at Thornwood Manor so upset, and it is even less often that they interest me the way you do. I should have been mad at how bold he was. Instead, I stepped back. I silently invited him in. He walked in with smooth grace. He stood by the fire. A man, I heard myself say. He said I was not good enough, not right for his family's special history. Adrian's face grew dark. I thought his eyes flashed red. Then he is a fool. You do not know me. I know you are strong enough to leave when many would have stayed and taken leftover love. I know you are running from pain, but not from yourself. And I know, he turned fully toward me. The force of his look made my heart race. I know you are far more than just suitable. You are special. How could you possibly know that? He moved closer. I smelled him. Pine, old books, cold night air. I have lived a very long time, Evelyn. I have learned to see true worth when I meet it. The desk clerk told you my name, I said. My voice shook a little. Yes, he said simply. He did not try to hide it. Stay for a few days. Let Thornwood Manor help you. You might be surprised what you learn about yourself when no one else is telling you who to be. I do not have much money for a long stay. Think of it as a gift. I have a feeling about people. I believe you are meant to be here right now. He walked toward the door, then he stopped. There is a library on the second floor. I think you will find it calming. And Evelyn, that man who pushed you away just made the worst mistake of his life. Then, he was gone. I was left alone with my racing thoughts, and the strange feeling that my whole life had just changed direction. I did not see Adrian for the next 2 days, but I felt him everywhere in Thornwood Manor. I spent my time in the big library he had told me about. I lost myself in old first-edition books and rare volumes I had only dreamed of touching. The staff was kind but quiet. They brought meals and clean sheets. They never got in the way. On the third evening I found him in the library. He stood by the window, watching the sunset. His face was hard to read. You are avoiding it, he said without turning around. Avoiding what? I asked. Asking the questions you want to ask. About me, about this place. Now he looked at me. In the dying light his face looked sharper. More not quite human. About why you feel pulled here, even when every smart thought says leave. He was right. I had been dancing around the strange things at Thornwood Manor, the staff who never seemed to eat, the way sounds were sometimes too quiet or too loud, the feeling that the house sat a little outside normal time. What are you? I asked quietly. Direct. I like that. He moved away from the window into the shadows, where the lamplight did not fully reach. I think you already know, Evelyn. You are a smart woman. You have read enough books in this library these past days. My mind raced through the books I had read, histories of the area, local stories, and yes, several books about supernatural legends. Vampire, I whispered. Yes. I should have run. I should have screamed. I should have done anything except take a step closer to him. Prove it. His laugh was low and real. Most people do not ask for proof. They either believe and run or call it crazy. I am not most people. You said so yourself. In a move too fast for human eyes, he stood right in front of me. He took my hand gently and set it on his chest. No heartbeat. His skin was cool. Not freezing, but not the worn skin of a living person. I am over 400 years old, he said softly. I have built empires, and watched them fall. I have loved and lost, killed and saved. For the last 100 years I stayed mostly alone, because the world stopped surprising me. His fingers traced my jaw with a touch light as a feather. Until you walked through my door 3 nights ago. This is crazy, I breathed. Yes, he agreed. But when was the last time you felt truly alive, Evelyn? Before tonight. Before this moment. He was right again. With Marcus I had been sleepwalking through life, trying to fit into someone else's idea of who I should be. Here, in this impossible place with this impossible man, I felt awake for the first time in years. Your former fiancé, Adrian said. He moved away to give me space to think. Marcus Blackwood. I know of his family. My head snapped up. How? The Blackwoods have hunted my kind for generations. They belong to an old order that believes vampires are evil things that must be destroyed. Marcus himself has killed 3 of my people in the last 10 years. His voice stayed calm, but I heard the steel under it. They hide behind their standards and social standing. But they are true believers, dangerous ones. The room seemed to tilt. Marcus. But he is just a businessman. He runs his family's investment company. A useful cover for their real work. Tell me, did he ever disappear for days at a time? Take trips he was vague about? Have locked rooms in his house you were not allowed to enter? I thought back. Horror crept through me. Yes to all of it. The basement, he said, was just storage. The business trips to Eastern Europe. The nights he came home with a look that seemed almost hungry. He was going to marry me, I said slowly. Pieces clicked into place. Why? If his family are vampire hunters, why would he? You have something they want, or rather your bloodline does. Adrian took a leather-bound journal from a shelf. He opened it to a marked page. The name Evelyn Cartwright appears in several old texts about vampire-human relations. Your ancestor, Elizabeth Cartwright, was a peacemaker in the 1700s, one of the few humans trusted by both sides during the peace accords. Her blood carried a special quality. It marked people who shared her family line as neutral. They could not be turned into vampires, but they were also protected from vampire mind control. I stared at the old text. My family name was written in faded ink. I do not understand. Why would that matter to Marcus? Because anyone who married into your bloodline would gain that protection. Their children would carry it. For a vampire hunter, that is priceless. Immunity to our strongest power to influence and control. His face was serious. He was going to marry you for your blood, Evelyn. When his family decided the time was right, you would have disappeared. Your family line would have been taken into theirs. Sick feeling rolled through me. So he never loved me. No, and his rejection was probably not even his choice. His family must have found another way to get what they wanted. Or they decided you were too risky after all. Adrian closed the journal gently. I am sorry. You deserved better than to be at peace in an old war. I sank into a leather chair. My mind spun. Everything I had believed about my relationship had been a lie. But strangely, the betrayal hurt less than it should have. Maybe because I was already grieving what I thought I had with Marcus. Why did you tell me all this? I asked. Adrian knelt in front of me. His silver eyes were intense. Because you deserve the truth. And because the moment you walked into my home, the Blackwoods knew. They have ways of tracking your bloodline. Marcus will come for you. Or, if that fails, he will try to remove the threat you pose. Threat? I am just a librarian. You are a woman who could choose to stand with my kind, who could, if she wanted, help make a new peace between vampires and humans. Or, he paused. Something almost soft crossed his face. Or who could choose to stay with the vampire king the Blackwoods fear most, and make him stronger than they could ever imagine. You are the vampire king? I said. I prefer Adrian. But yes, I rule the North American vampire lands. It is a job I have held for 200 years. It has made me many enemies, the Blackwoods most of all. He stood and offered me his hand. I am offering you a real choice, Evelyn. Maybe the first real choice you have had in years. Leave tomorrow, with my protection. Go back to your life. I will make sure you stay safe from them. Or stay, learn about this world you have walked into. Decide for yourself where you belong. I looked at his outstretched hand, pale and steady. Behind him, through the library windows, the moon rose over Thornwood Manor's dark forests. Somewhere out there was my old life, my apartment, my job at the university library, my carefully built normal life that had been built on lies. Here was danger and truth, and a man who looked at me like I was someone worth knowing. I took his hand. I will stay. His smile was bright. Then let me show you what you have really agreed to. He led me through the manor to a part I had not seen, down stone stairs that spiraled into the earth, through passages lit by torches that burned with strange blue fire. We came out into a huge underground room that took my breath away. A small one, maybe, but a city, built inside an enormous cave. Buildings of stone and crystal rose from the cave floor. Bridges and walkways connected them. Vampires moved through the streets below, some in modern clothes, others in styles from hundreds of years ago. I saw what looked like shops, homes, even a garden growing under false sunlight. This is Sanctuary, Adrian said quietly, the last free vampire city in North America. When the hunting got worse 50 years ago, I made this place. 2,000 of my kind live here, protected and hidden. It is beautiful, I breathed. It is needed, but it is also a kind of prison. My people should walk freely in the world above, not hide like monsters. He turned to me. In his eyes I saw hundreds of years of heavy duty. I have been fighting the Blackwoods and people like them for so long, Evelyn. Always defending, never able to make real change, because humans fear what they do not understand. And you think I can help with that? I think you already are. You did not run when you learned what I was. You asked for proof. Then you made your choice based on facts and feeling. That is rare. He led me to a balcony overlooking the city. Your ancestor helped make peace once. Maybe her descendant could do it again. I watched the vampires below living their lives. Something shifted in how I understood them. They were not monsters. They were people. Different, yes, but people all the same, trying to survive in a world that wanted them dead. Tell me everything, I said. If I am going to do this, if I am going to help, I need to know all of it. The truth about vampires, about the hunters, about this war. It would be my honor. We talked through the night. He told me about the change that makes a vampire, about the complex rules and ranks in vampire society, about the hunters who twisted religious ideas to excuse killing. I learned that vampires do not need to kill to feed. Many lived quietly among humans, until the Blackwoods orders started their war. As dawn came near, Adrian led me back to the main house. We stood in the entrance hall as the first light touched the windows. I watched in wonder as he did not burst into flame. Sunlight myth, I guessed. Uncomfortable, weakening, but not deadly. Though I prefer to stay out of it. He smiled, looking tired. You should rest. We can talk more tomorrow. Adrian, I said as he turned to leave, thank you for the truth, for the choice. Thank you for staying, he replied. I did not realize how lonely I had been until you arrived. As I climbed the stairs to my room, I realized I had not thought about Marcus once during the whole night. The man I thought I had loved seemed like a faraway memory, a part I had been playing in someone else's story. This felt like the start of my own. 2 weeks passed in a rush of learning and discovery. I spent my days learning about vampire culture, my nights at Adrian's side as he showed me the details of his world. The more time we spent together, the harder it became to ignore the spark between us, the way his eyes stayed on me, the careful space he kept, as if he was afraid to assume too much. I was falling for him. No, I had already fallen. And the scary part was that it felt nothing like what I had with Marcus. This was real, built on honesty and mutual respect, on late-night talks about big ideas, and early evening walks through Sanctuary where I met his people. They had accepted me with a warmth that surprised me. The vampires of Sanctuary treated me not as an outsider, but as someone important to their king, and therefore worthy of their protection and friendship. On the 15th night of my stay, everything changed. I was in the library when Adrian burst in. His face was darker than I had ever seen it. "They are coming," he said, with no greeting. "The Blackwoods. Marcus is leading them. They will be here within the hour." My blood ran cold. "How many?" 20 hunters, well-armed, well-trained. He moved to me. His hands held my shoulders. "I need you to go to Sanctuary." "No," I said firmly. "If they are coming for me, hiding will not solve anything. It will only delay what is coming." "Evelyn." "I am not running anymore, Adrian. I spent 3 years making myself smaller for Marcus. I will not do it again." I met his eyes steadily. "Let me help. My ancestor was a peacemaker, right? Let me try to make peace." "They will not listen. The Blackwoods do not talk with vampires." "Then we make them listen." Before he could argue more, alarms began ringing through the manor. They were here. Adrian's staff moved with army-like skill. They secured the building and got ready to defend. I followed Adrian to the main hall. My heart pounded, but my will was firm. The doors burst open. Marcus strode in, leading a group of armed men and women in black tactical gear. His eyes found mine right away. The anger there made me step back. "Evelyn," he said. His voice was tight, with barely held rage. "Step away from the creature." "The creature has a name," I replied. I was surprised by how steady my voice was. "And I am not going anywhere with you, Marcus. You do not know what you are dealing with. That thing has tricked you, poisoned your mind against your own kind." "My own kind?" I laughed bitterly. "You mean the fiancé who was going to use me for my bloodline, and then throw me away when I was no longer useful? That kind?" Marcus had the grace to look uncomfortable. "My family has a duty to protect humanity from these monsters. Yes, I was meant to get your help through marriage, but that does not change what Thornwood is. He has killed thousands of humans over his lifetime." "In self-defense," Adrian said coldly. He stepped forward. "Every vampire I have killed in 400 years was actively hunting my kind. I have never taken an innocent life. Can you say the same, Blackwood?" The hunters raised their weapons, crossbows loaded with wooden stakes, guns that likely held special bullets. Adrian's vampires appeared from the shadows. They formed a protective circle. The tension was ready to explode. "Stop!" I shouted. I stepped between the two groups. This is exactly what keeps this war going. Neither side willing to see the other as anything but enemies. "They are vampires," one of the hunters spat. "They are not even human." "Neither are you acting very human right now," I shot back. "You are so focused on what they are that you have forgotten to ask who they are. I have spent 2 weeks here. I have met families, artists, scholars. I have seen vampires who have spent their long lives saving human art and literature. I have met a doctor who has made medical methods that could save thousands of human lives if anyone would listen." I turned to Marcus. I saw him clearly for the first time. "You told me I was not good enough for your family. You were right. I am not, because your family is built on hate and fear, and I refuse to be part of that anymore. Evelyn, he is using you." Adrian gave me a choice, my voice echoed through the hall. "The first real choice I have had in years. Stay or go. Learn or stay ignorant. He has never lied to me, never controlled me. Can you say the same?" Marcus's face hardened. "If you will not come willingly, we will take you by force. Your bloodline is too valuable to leave in vampire hands. Try it." Adrian said, softly, dangerously. And this ends in blood you cannot possibly win. I have 100 vampires in this building alone. Your 20 hunters, skilled as they are, will not survive. Then we all die doing our duty, Marcus replied. Or, I said loudly, an idea formed, we end this, right here, right now. Both sides looked at me like I had lost my mind. My ancestor made peace between vampires and humans once. The peace accords of 1749. They lasted for almost 100 years before your order broke them, Marcus. I pulled out a book I had been reading earlier, one of the history texts from Adrian's library. The treaty is still technically valid. It was never formally ended, just ignored. Adrian's eyes widened with understanding. You want to call on the accords. I want to update them, make them fit this century. I looked between the two groups, but it needs goodwill from both sides, and a willingness to see each other as something other than monsters. The Blackwoods will never agree, Adrian said quietly. Not the Blackwoods, him. I pointed at Marcus. You have a choice too. Keep following your family's hate, or choose something different. Choose to be the man I once thought you were. Someone able to grow and change. For a long moment the hall was silent except for the sound of weapons held ready. Then Marcus lowered his crossbow. Stand down, he told his hunters. Sir, one protested. I said stand down. His voice cracked with authority. He looked at me with something that might have been regret. You really believe they can change? That this is not just a trick? I believe people on both sides are tired of fighting. I believe there has been enough death. I moved closer to him. I lowered my voice. You rejected me because I did not fit into your world, Marcus. But maybe your world is what needs to change. He studied Adrian, who stood perfectly still, giving off controlled power. The Vampire King himself. My family has hunted you for 3 generations. And killed people I loved, Adrian replied evenly. I have as much reason to hate you as you do me. But Evelyn is right. Enough death. I am willing to talk, to negotiate, to find a way forward that does not require my people to hide or your people to hunt. Marcus looked around the hall, at the vampires who had lowered their guard a little, at his own hunters waiting for orders. Finally, he set his crossbow on the ground. One chance, he said. We talk. We try this. But if it is a trap, it will not be, I assured him. I will mediate, just like my ancestor did. We will create new accords, a framework for living side by side. Your family will cast you out, Adrian warned Marcus. The Blackwoods do not allow anyone to leave their mission. Then I will be cast out. Marcus straightened his shoulders. Maybe it is time I build something of my own, instead of living in their shadow. The talks took 3 days. 3 intense, exhausting days of working out terms, addressing hundreds of years of wrongs, finding common ground. I mediated using skills I did not know I had, drawing on feelings that seemed to come from somewhere deeper than just my own life. Maybe my ancestors' gift was more than just blood. Maybe it was a calling. By the end we had a framework, the new accords. Vampires would set up groups to make sure no innocent humans were harmed. Hunters would stop attacking vampires who followed the new laws. Mixed courts would handle arguments, and sanctuary would become neutral ground, a place where both sides could meet and work toward lasting peace. It would not be easy. Many on both sides would fight it. But it was a start. On the night the accords were signed, Marcus came to me as I stood on one of Thornwood Manor's balconies, looking out over the grounds. I was wrong, he said simply. About you, about all of it. You were always too good for me, Evelyn. I just could not see it. We were wrong for each other, I corrected gently, but maybe we needed that to find our real paths. He nodded, accepting that. He is good for you, the Vampire King. I have watched how he looks at you, like you are the only light in his darkness. Do not make it sound like a storybook, I said with a small smile. We have not even, we are not. Yet, Marcus finished. But you will be. Anyone with eyes can see it. He held out his hand. No hard feelings. I shook it. No hard feelings. Good luck with your family. I will need it. He paused at the door. For what it is worth, I am glad you are happy. Truly. Then he was gone, and I was alone until I felt Adrian's presence behind me. You did something impossible, he said softly. You brought two enemies to the table and made them see reason. And a powerful ally. I turned to face him. What happens now? Now we see if peace can hold. Now we build something new. He moved closer. The air between us seemed to hum with energy. Now I confess that I have been in love with you since the moment you demanded I prove what I was. You stood in my library, heartbroken and lost, and demanded truth. You were magnificent. My breath caught. Adrian. You do not have to say anything. I know I am not what you planned for your life. A vampire king comes with many complications. I kissed him. Cutting off his words, he froze for a heartbeat, then pulled me close with a need that matched my own. His lips were cool but warmed quickly. The kiss felt like coming home to a place I had never been. When we finally broke apart, his eyes were wide with wonder. I love you too, I said breathlessly. I have been falling for you since you first walked into my room and saw me. Really saw me. Not as a bloodline or a social tool, but as me. You are sure? His hand cupped my face gently. This life, my world, it is dangerous. There will always be those who want to use you or hurt you to get to me. Then they will have to face both of us, I said firmly. I am not going anywhere, Adrian. I choose this. I choose you. His smile was radiant. Centuries of loneliness falling away. Then I am the most fortunate being in existence. We stood on that balcony as the moon rose, holding each other, planning a future neither of us had imagined possible just weeks ago. I thought about Marcus's rejection, about how broken I had been, and realized it had been the best thing that ever happened to me. I had left the man who said I was not good enough, and I had found a king who knew my worth. 6 months later I stood in Sanctuary's grand chamber, watching as the first joint Vampire-Human Council meeting began. The new accords were holding, though not without problems, but progress was being made. Adrian sat at the head of the table, every inch the Vampire King, and when our eyes met, his expression softened with the love that had only grown deeper with time. I had found my calling as the official mediator between our peoples, traveling between the human and vampire worlds, building bridges one conversation at a time. But it mattered. And every night I came home to Thornwood Manor, to Adrian, to a love that was real and true, built on the foundation of choosing each other every single day. Marcus had been right about one thing. I had not been good enough for his world. I had been meant for something so much greater. Ready to fall into your own impossible love story? Follow for more tales of love, revenge, and supernatural romance that will keep you reading all night.